find out your age by looking at your birth date or your birth certificate. But did you know that you can find out your age by solving a single variable equation? But wait, what does that mean? Let's take a look. Carmen is 12 years older than David. 5 years ago, the sum of their ages was 28. How old are they now? This question is asking to find the ages of Carmen and David. So let's use a number line. Now this number line may not look like something you're used to seeing, but let's go through and understand the question. Here is David and Carmen. And let's place this point on our number line as their ages now. The question says that Carmen is 12 years older than David. And we are asked to find out how old both David and Carmen are now. So let's assume their ages by using a variable. We can assume David's age as A. And since Carmen is 12 years older than David, that means Carmen's age is A plus 12. Notice how I use parentheses around A plus 12. These parentheses tell us that we should consider whatever is inside them as a single unit. So A plus 12 represents Carmen's age now. Now let's read the next part of the question. 5 years ago, the sum of their ages was 28. So let's go 5 years back in time. We can make that point here on our number line and label it as 5 years earlier. So, what were David and Carmen's ages 5 years earlier? Well, we know their ages now. So to find their ages 5 years earlier, all we have to do is subtract 5. Now, David's age is A. So 5 years earlier, David's age would be A minus 5. But what about Carmen? Now, Carmen's age is A plus 12. So 5 years earlier, Carmen's age would be A plus 12 minus 5. We can simplify this. 12 minus 5 is 7. So, Carmen's age 5 years earlier can be simplified to A plus 7. Notice how we use parentheses around the ages. Now, let's look back at the question. The question tells us that the sum of David and Carmen's ages is 28. So, all we have to do is add A minus 5, which is David's age 5 years earlier, and A plus 7, which is Carmen's age 5 years earlier. And the sum of these two ages is 28. From there, we can solve and find the value of a. So let's do that. So we can write our equation like this. Now let's remove the parentheses. A plus 7 plus a minus 5 is equal to 28. Next, let's combine like terms on the left side of our equation. A plus a is 2a, and positive 7 minus 5 is 2. So we get 2a plus 2 is equal to 28. Now let's take 2 to the other side of the equation. 2a is equal to 26. But we want to know what the value for a is. So let's take 2 to the other side of the equation. A is equal to 26 over 2. So a is equal to 13. And since the question is asking for David and Carmen's age now, we know that a, which is David's age now, is 13. But what about Carmen's age? Well, Carmen's age now is a plus 12, and we know a is 13. So all we have to do is substitute the value for a here. So Carmen's age now is 13 plus 12, which is equal to 25. Now let's look at another example. Adam is 20 years younger than Brian. In 2 years, Brian will be twice as old as Adam. How old are they now? Just like before, let's use a number line and understand this question. Here is our number line. Let's label this point as now. So, what are Brian and Adam's ages now? Well, the question tells us that Adam is 20 years younger than Brian, and we are asked their ages now. Since we are not told Brian and Adam's ages, we can assume them by using a variable. So, let's assume Brian's age as a. And since we're told that Adam is 20 years younger than Brian, we can assume Adam's age as a minus 20. Now let's look at the next part of this question. In 2 years, Brian will be twice as old as Adam. So let's fast forward 2 years. How old will Brian and Adam be in 2 years? All we have to do is add 2 to each of their ages. So, Brian will be a plus 2 years old, and Adam will be a minus 20 plus 2, which we can simplify. Negative 20 plus 2 is negative 18. So Adam will be A minus 18 years old. Now the question tells us that in 2 years, Brian will be twice as old as Adam. So, in order to make an equation, we can multiply 2 times Adam's age so that it will be equal to Brian's age. So let's write out an equation. Here is our equation. A plus 2, which is Brian's age in 2 years, is equal to 2 times A minus 18, which is Adam's age in 2 years. Now, to solve this equation, let's distribute 2 inside the parentheses. A plus 2 is equal to 2 times A, which is 2A, and 2 times negative 18, which is negative 36. Now let's bring the variable terms on one side of the equation and the constant terms to the other side of the equation. So we can start by bringing 2A to the left side of the equal sign. This gives us A plus 2 minus 2A is equal to negative 36. Now let's take positive 2 to this side of the equation. Next, let's simplify both sides of the equation. A minus 2A is negative A, which is equal to negative 36 minus 2, which is negative 38. And finally, let's bring this negative to the other side of the equation, where the negatives will cancel out. This gives us the value of A, which is 38. So, Brian now is 38 years old. But how old is Adam? Well, we know Adam's age now is A minus 20. And we know A is 38. So, Adam's age is 38 minus 20, or 18 years old.